All right, everyone, and welcome back to That Variety Nerd. I'm Christina, and today we are jumping back with some more Sims 4 renovation goodness. Today we are in Drake Hall. It is one of the two dorm slash residence halls, however you want to phrase it. It's kind of in a similar artery, but that's a whole different story. We'll touch on just a bit. So this is again one of the two on-campus housing situations, if you want to think about it that way. This was recorded way back around Thanksgiving, so it's going to be a little bit of time before I'm like, okay, I don't remember how I did this or that or this or that. I had to refresh myself on like what I was doing. I survived finals. I still have some work for the next week, but hey, we're in the home stretch, and that's all that matters. I'm done with my classes. Everything's fine. So either way around, hopefully you all enjoy this build. I really enjoyed working. I really like working on these like confined, kind of boxy sort of elements, right? So the way that I renovated Britechester housing and Foxbury housing are similar, but yet very, very different. So I kind of went with the more traditional, like residence hall sort of feel for the Britechester, like dorms. So pretty much the difference between residence hall and dorm is basically in the fact that dorm, if you kind of look at how it's usually used as a verb in other languages, such as Spanish, dormir, that usually means to sleep. So when dormitory, which is the full word, dormitory just means that you just have like somewhere to sleep. Residence hall basically just means that like it's more of a community. There's like events, there's more of a community feel to it. So that's how like we differentiate those things. I used to work in residence life back in undergrad, and I quite enjoyed it. There were lots of ups and downs and craziness that happened, but I'm thankful for it now that I'm in my new role. Well, I wouldn't say it's a new role. I mean, it's a changing role. There we go. That's the best way I can describe it. But yeah, I really enjoyed that experience quite a bit. Ups, downs, everything in between. And yeah, so it was definitely time for growth. So yeah, there we go. So the bathroom situation in this particular hall was interesting to say the least. I was trying so hard to make it all kind of fit together, and so I kind of was just like, yeah, screw it. Let's just do like separate toilet areas and everything else. So I think the way that it ended up kind of made some shred of sense, or at least that's how I like to think it did. So I kind of wanted to just have like a separate shower area. Because it's kind of how at least like I kind of kept picturing in my mind like what my freshman hall looked like back when I was an undergrad, and like I remember it was just like you shared a room with a 10 by 10 in a 10 by 10 box essentially, or like a 15 by 15. I don't remember. It was something pretty small. So I remember there were some configurations where there was like maybe a handful of like single rooms. Like I think it was like a couple, like two per floor or something. So around like 20 to 30 single rooms where it was just like the one person. Then you had mainly doubles. So it was like one person, like two people sharing the same room, and that was what I was in. It was a good experience, so I can't really complain about that. Like I could have had a lot worse happen. The one thing that I was kind of irked about, so my building, it had 12 residential floors, and then they had like a study hall area, like kind of a study room, sort of quiet area on like the 13th floor. Which I realize sounds kind of ominous and like all that stuff, but like it was a pretty cool little area. Like it had some of the best views on campus too, so that made it even better to go up there. And like I could just go upstairs and study in my pajamas and go back downstairs and take a nap if I wanted to on a Sunday. So I was cool with that. But yeah, so we had I was on the seventh floor out of 12 floors, so I was pretty high up there. However, because we were on a busy street, like we were right across the street from a lot of the bars and restaurants. Yeah, say goodnight to any and all sleep on weekends. I remember I had a few friends that lived on the fourth floor, and like they heard like everything, like even just the loud people shouting. Now I didn't hear as much like of the specific shouting or anything like that. It was mainly like traffic, people just yelling, and oh my God, I don't know how I gained some sort of like I think it's because I'm generally a like when I'm asleep, like once I'm asleep unless if there's an alarm that goes off or something. But oh my God. So I kind of kept that in mind as I was creating these little residence hall areas. Many of the renovations that I did have no more than two people sharing a room. I think the Foxbury ones, Most of the Foxbury rooms are more just like single person rooms, but I want to create a little bit of a mixture because some people like that shared room experience and are more comfortable with it. As for at least, and like I feel like that's definitely a US thing from my understanding because I guess apparently, at least in like many countries like Germany and stuff, a lot of like European countries especially have more of a like one person per, like you'll share a space with like three or four people, but like each person has their own bedroom, so like a suite style sort of configuration is what we would call it here in the US. I had something like that, I think, for a semester. Yeah, for a semester when I was in undergrad. That was my second year. Oh my God. Oh, I got stories about that, but we're gonna save that for another time. But because I was more of a like non-traditional hall environment. So my traditional hall experience for about the year that I worked, or not worked, that I lived there. I did work in a traditional hall for about a year though, well, a few months rather. I was giving tours and stuff at one point as well. It was a lot of fun. I remember when I was giving tours for my like freshman year residence hall or whatever. Like I remember the parents were like kind of hesitant at times, and they were like, "Oh, this is the exact same way that I had it when I was an undergrad," and just for me, I was like a first generation college student. I'm a first generation college student, so that basically means I'm like the first person in my immediate family to go to college, get a degree, all that kind of good stuff. So I would hear these stories and I'm like, oh, that's actually really cool. Like, little things like that. Sometimes, like, some folks kind of went a little overboard, but like, for the most part, everyone was pretty chill and pretty cool about it. Obviously, safety was always going to be like the main ticket item, so I'd always make sure that like the parents knew, like, hey, these are all the resources, that sort of thing. But that was like my favorite summer job that I had was like giving tours of like all the different buildings and stuff. So that was a lot of fun. I did that for 2 summers. Yeah, for 2 summers. And it was pretty chill. Like, I really made sure to just take my time with the parents. And the families that were there from orientation because I mean like they're going to be living there, you might as well like give them like some good information. Many of them were like out of staters, so like generally like, hey, we don't know the area. Can you point us out to some family friendly ish directions for food? So it's like, all right, if you want to go for this food, go down this way, like little things like that. I'm starting to get to that now in my current location, which is pretty great too. Like for me, it's kind of nice because like where I live now, it's kind of like everything's generally relatively family friendly. Obviously the bars are not, but like I could recommend like the same restaurants to like my group of friends who are going out to celebrate, I don't know, like the end of the semester and also be like, okay, you can go to the same restaurant if you want to bring your parents for a nice lunch. Like that sort of thing. So that's why I really like the area that I'm in right now. I can't really complain a whole lot. But yeah, freshman residence hall living, I remember, oh God, I had these neighbors. Oh my God. There was like one night, I think it was on Halloween or something. Oh my God, Halloween on a college campus is like a whole different dimension of the universe. I don't know why and I don't know how. I remember next door, I remember my roommate, I think, had to work or something. She worked like second shift, so like the second shift is usually from like 3 till 11, kind of trickled in the third a little bit. But oh my God, I remember the one night, I think, yeah, I don't remember if she was like, I think she was here and like I remember the next door neighbors we heard like something going on and there was like one room was doing like karaoke and I'm like how many people are next door. Like I went to the bathroom and like the two of us before I went away to the bathroom really quickly, I was like, what's going on next door? And so we figured out that it was at least karaoke. We didn't know how many people were in that room next door. And by the way, keep in mind this is like around a 12 by 12 box. So like think about generally the size of like a standard size bedroom that you're sharing with someone, right? And that's two people sharing that space. So next door in that 12 by 12-ish space, it's what I'm going to remember it as. Um I went to the bathroom and like as I was in the hallway, I saw like I swear to God, I'm not even joking, like 20, 30 people walk out of just this 12 by 12 space. And I'm like, how the heck do you fit all these people in here? Like you can generally fit like 4 to 5 people on a bed if you get cozy. Then, so you're thinking like two beds, it's like 10 people you could fit there. So, assuming that you have people standing and stuff, like you could probably fit 20 to 30 people. But, like, that's a fire hazard, okay? Like, that's just not safe whatsoever, objectively speaking. But yeah, no, like, I remember, like, my next door neighbors on the one end would just, like, belt karaoke almost every weekend. And I just thought it was the funniest thing ever because it was like, you knew that, like, they were probably, like, pre-gaming to go out and stuff, which was super funny to me because it was like, again, when you're a first generation college student, you just generally are not familiar with college culture. You kind of assume what it is based on like what you've seen in movies and stuff. And so, but even then, it's kind of like you don't understand it necessarily until you go and live on a college campus yourself. And, everybody has a different college experience and everything. So, whenever you hear people say, like, oh, you didn't have the college experience, cut those people out from your life because you don't need that. Everyone has a different college experience. Like, I went to journalism school, so, like, I mean, just throwing that out there. There weren't like as many of us as there were like say engineering or business, right? So I had a very different first year experience, lots of weekends just working and stuff like that. But yeah, traditional residence hall life. I realized I probably would have had a little bit better of an experience if, like, I mean, it could have went a lot worse. Like, I mean, I didn't. After like spending that first couple of months like adjusting, like I had a hard time transitioning, especially to like living with someone else. It was like a whole different experience. Like I had a really just super laid back and just very approachable like RA at the time, and like she was awesome and was kind of like there and like kind of was like, hey, like this is a thing, you're gonna be stuck here, essentially for the time being. We want to make sure that you're having a good experience, like that sort of thing. So I stayed in there. I got through the motion that first year, and then the following year in the fall, I ended up in a suite style configuration. Well, that is a whole different story for another video. Okay, like that full 4 months, I'm pretty sure shaved off like few months off of my like life expectancy just because of the lack of sleep. But that's a whole different story. But yeah, traditional residence hall living is, especially if you're sharing a room with someone, it's very weird. Like I grew up an only child, so for me to share a room with someone was just a super weird experience. And I'm like, I realize I haven't been commenting on this entire video in terms of like, oh, I did this building, I created it this way, and this way. But in general, I wanted, both the Britechester residence halls slash dorms, however you phrase it. Um, okay, that made it sound very judgmental, but I swear that was not the case. But I wanted to have a mixture of single rooms and, two-person rooms to give it that kind of more fully fleshed out experience. So that was kind of my goal for this particular hall. And you'll also see then the other hall that should be up sometime tomorrow. Yeah, sometime tomorrow. But I hope you've enjoyed this little series that we've got going on with the university renovations. I realize, like, Christina, this pack has been out for like over a month now. You need to finish the Let's Play. You need to do this, this. We're gonna work on it. We're in this together. We're in it for the long haul. So yeah, this is the part where I'm basically furnishing everything again. I want to make sure that the layout was kind of similar, or not like kind of similar. I want to make sure that the layout made a little bit more sense. I hated how the bathrooms were like right in the middle. Like I realize that's kind of how it is in real life. At least that's how it was for my traditional hall when I lived there my freshman year. They had like the bathrooms kind of in the middle, then they had like a weird kitchenette sort of thing at the end of the hall. And then they had the elevator. So everything was in the middle and it kind of like blocked a lot of that hallway space out, which really bothered the crap out of me because in a, regular apartment building, you don't have that. Like the only thing that should be blocking anything is maybe like a community space or like the elevator. That should be, or maybe a laundry room, like something that's kind of functional. I don't know, but yeah, so again, if you want to get rid of one of these rooms and use it as like a laundry room, if you have laundry day, that's one recommendation I would make in general. But I want to give every room like I kind of do like similar furnishings and like all the buildings that I did for the renovations, in terms of the traditional like halls and even like the non-traditional halls. So you'll see that I included like I did not include mini fridges or anything like that in this building because they have a regular fridge where they can all kind of just cook food in terms of like, hey, let's like create some garden salads and share it all together. So I want to give them like the bone furniture that you would get when you first move in. Because you can get all kinds of decorations. Like at one point, I had like a Stranger Things-esque window in my apartment room at one point. I had like a okay, that's a different story for another video. Okay, I got a lot of stories from just like me living in like on and off campus housing essentially. Okay, I got plenty of stories. And they're mainly ones that were like me being just a normal resident and all that good stuff. So, yeah, I did work as an RA for a little bit too. And I also had a desk job. I did tours. I worked a lot in residence life and housing, but in general, I hope you all enjoyed this renovation. Please stay tuned for some more stories, renovations. We're going to go through every single lot and go from there. So, as always, please subscribe, like, comment, all that fun stuff here on YouTube, and I will see you all later. Bye, everyone.